showing you all the expensive things they bought, and they were taking life very seriously. And now they're back to complaining about how hard it is to be a celebrity again. And I think post-COVID, a lot of people ain't having it. Like, nah, I ain't having it. I think a lot of influencers are going through that right now, where they're complaining about the restaurant not falling over themselves just because you showed up there. And you read every comment, it's like, so what? Shut up, get a real job. And like, so I think this is true. The more you complain, the more likely people are gonna be like, all right, dude, we get it, man, let it go. They say arguing with people loses respect for you. Well, there's a difference in a debate, an exchange of ideas, and an argument. If you can have a difference of opinion and go, okay, I can see that, and go back and forth, that's better. But see, everybody thinks everybody's mad all the time. I'll give you an example from just this week, as a matter of fact. Let me scroll down in my feed here. This came in when I was doing New Church Tuesday the other day. And a woman was like, just looking to yell at me. That's not constructive criticism, first. And second, you inquired as to why it was being done a certain way. So I gave you an answer. If I write back quickly and I say ridiculous, that's a ridiculous viewpoint. But there is a difference between having a conversation and flat out arguing. I will admit, in my life, just Saturday night, it happened in my house with her. A conversation turned into an argument because I have a tendency to kind of step on the gas pedal a touch. I do. This job has kind of conditioned me to kind of be a little defensive. Like, I need to be able to defend my opinions, man. Like, I need to be, and like, it has trained me in that. And so sometimes at home with her, I have a hard time with that. And she will tell you, the more often that happens, that's when she's eye-rolling me. And has she lost respect for me overall? No, but maybe in that moment. Now here's interesting, because right on the heels of arguing too much, buckling on your stance. Say, there's nothing wrong with occasionally changing your mind and allowing your viewpoints to shift. But if you're willing to go just willy-nilly and stuff, and yeah, hypocrisy people do seem to have an issue with. You know, people will jump on me about this too. I've been on the air a long, long, long time now. 20 years I've been doing this. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. But I've been doing this a long time. And so I've grown. And I'm not in a current state of grief like I was when I first started after my father had died. And I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm just in a different place. And the more you grow, the more you age, your viewpoints may change. You start to become your parents, and like, you know, there's a lot of that. And people will call me flip-flopper and all this kind of stuff. It's like, well, I think changing your mind is one of the benchmarks of being an intelligent person. I used to be immovable. No matter what, this is what I said, I'm sticking with it, no matter what. And it's like, how foolish is that? If you present me with new information, I'm willing to change my mind. I don't believe I just flail in the wind. I think it can sound like that to people who are too political sometimes, because I hear this a lot. You're not liberal enough for me. You're not conservative enough for me. It's like, well, I'm not trying to be either one of those things. I'm trying to be common sense enough for me. I had to remind somebody of that yesterday who on my Twitter, who was like, I hate him because he talks about how he's a conservative, but secretly he's been a liberal his entire life. It's like, you find me one piece of audio from the 20 years I've been in the air where I claim I'm a conservative. I'll give you tickets to anything you want. Any ticket I have, you can have. It doesn't exist. I know for sure. Because mostly what I've said is, you can't put me in one of them boxes. And then I have said, I lean left, but the left has gone so far left that I just laugh at how ridiculous, because what I do is go, well, no, they got this right today. Like, they got this right today. Like, what happened in that judgment with Trump the other day in that court case, that ain't good for homie. Like, that's not a win. He was looking for presidential immunity and he didn't get it. The other day, MSNBC told you, Biden, most people in the country kind of feel like, yeah, he doesn't have it anymore. And he doesn't, by the way. Did you see? He just told you again, he had a meeting with a leader that died over a decade ago. That's 2 inside of a week. At some point, man, we got to have a real conversation about it. But so, like, I can kind of say, well, dude, he won that day and he won that day. And people think it's flip-flopping. It's not. What I view that as is, I'm willing to admit the truth, even if it might be truth I don't like, right? Like, I'm willing to do that. But people see that as flip-flopping, and, you know, that's on them versus me, right? But yes, buckling too often, you got to kind of pick and choose. That's why I said, if you pick up every cause as like your main cause, you have the capacity to care about everything on that level. You kind of have to pick which ones you're really into. Interrupting people. All right, I have to have my hand raised here. I sometimes, especially if I'm fighting, if I'm arguing, I'm probably going to cut you off. because I can't even listen to what you've just said because it's wrong and I'm right and you're gonna hear me, right? Like I can be a little guilty of this, and I have had friends tell me before, dude, it can be difficult with you sometimes if you, and I always say, only when I know I'm right. Like only if I know for sure I'm right, which of course we always all think we're right. And then I've only been proven wrong only 9 million times. So in my life. And when I feel as if you don't respect that enough, that's when my voice gets this loud. I am guilty of that. I am not patient in traffic behind you. I am not patient on a T-box when I'm waiting for 4 buddies to stop bitching about their wives and just hit it already. Like, I am not patient. I am not this thing at all. It's actually why I started playing golf again. Adult life, because I was hoping it would force patience into my life. And in reality, all it's done now is make me want to murder people with a 9-iron in the middle of a fairway every day of my life.
We would have them drug tested, but why waste the money? The Stan Sperry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the program where you're going to rock the bank at 9 a.m. Score yourself a $1,000 keyword. Those presented by Beavers Marine Store at Wood Lake. Online at beaversmarinestore.com. Also at 9, take a look at Incarceration Fest. That music festival has come a long way since its inception. I mean, a long way. Good for those guys. We had been talking about respect. I think it's important. People are losing it. You know, was it Mike Tyson who said, you know, people have gotten a little too comfortable with saying whatever they want online without the fear of being punched in the mouth? And there is a little bit of truth in that. Sometimes I watch people who I know, like my own comment sections. I have not met all of you, obviously, right? I'm lucky enough to have that many people listening to where I'm probably never going to get to meet all of you. But I have met some of you. And sometimes I will watch you guys fight amongst one another in the comment sections. And yes, like any other media member, sometimes that's what that post was for, right? Like sometimes, yes. Like, watch now. Whoosh, right? Like, of course. A little stirring the pot, right? It's kind of part of it, sure, absolutely. But I'll watch people say horrific things back and forth to one another. And sometimes I'll just laugh because I'm like, bro, I met that guy you're yelling at, and let me just tell you, if you see that dude in the parking lot, you're going to be a shoegazer. Just eyes staring at them shoelaces, won't even make eye contact with him because you're going to be deathly afraid of that dude. But here you are, which is crazy. Like, if you do that with people, and like, that could happen. Like, it did happen to me. I got into that little altercation in the car on my way into work. We were both guilty. We were both a little guilty of allowing our anger issues to get ahead of us. He was in the wrong on the road. I was wrong in how I decided to handle it. And then, you know, there was words exchanged on the road. And then like a week later, I saw him at the gas station around the corner. And when I saw him, I was like, well, duh. Like, he was on the road when you were going to work, which means this is probably his schedule. Town's only so big, and you were clearly using the same roads to get to where you were going. So you're probably going to see him again. And when I saw him at the gas station, we did. I've told this story before. We both just kind of looked at one another. It was like Spider-Man meme. We're just pointing back at one another like, you, right? It's like because we were kind of the same guy. And then we just laughed. And then we just laughed about it. And it was like, oh, thank God. Right? Because it was days later. Actually, it was like a week and a half later, something like that. And it was, tempers are calmed down now. And all of that. So it's like, you got to think about that sometimes. You know, as we're talking about respect, I think, and again, I get a little too guilty of blaming social media for everything. And I'm, you know, I should apologize about that. I can get a little repetitive about it. But I think there is, I don't think it could be denied that you are going to be sometimes less respectful talking to people online than you would in person. Like, you would never just eviscerate somebody like that in person. You would just kind of stop short. I bet it's true in your life. Like, when you get into a fight with your wife or husband, do you text things that you wouldn't say? Or am I just this crazy? Like, every day we find out I'm more bonkers. You know what I mean? So, like, this could absolutely be a thing. But sometimes I'll get guilty. I'm like, I would have never said that to her face. because I'd have to see her face. And I'd have to deal with, not that she'd be annoying about it, but it'd be like, dude, that sucks. And all right, that was too far. Damn it. The C word, buddy, put it back in the chamber. He can't do it, right? But like, if you're texting, you just don't think about the ramifications of it. And I think that's how it happens in comment sections a lot too. But like I said, if you're arguing with somebody at TMZ, they may not be only so big, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I noticed that when I post up a lot. Janet's listening. She says, Stansbury, I gotta admit, I'm right here with you with the impatience thing though. She goes, I hate to wait. I hate when people make me wait. And if I'm driving in my car, I complain all the time about other drivers. Yeah, the car lets me know how crazy I really am. I said this to myself, it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer. And I was driving down Cleveland Avenue, right by Bill's Cobbler Shop right there, where you can get on 62 and all that. I was right there, and it gets really congested and all of that. And I said behind the wheel of a car, even out loud in the car, I said, oh my God, how is it possible I'm always behind the idiot? And then it hit me. You know what might be possible, buddy, is that you're not always behind the idiot. It might be, wait for it, you are the idiot. It's like maybe if it's always other people, it's not. It's probably you. And what I mean to say there is they're not probably doing anything wrong. I'm a little too impatient. Now, I've said this, and I think I don't think it's Canton. My buddy got on me. He's like, quit blaming the city. He's like, it's people being on pills and texting. But like 10 miles under the speed limit here seems to be the speed limit for most people. And I got to be honest with you, it's me freaking crazy. And I don't even know why. Like, I'll talk about this today. I will say to myself, I need to do a better job of this. And the moment I get in that car to leave here today, I will forget all about that. And the first thing that happens in the car, I'll be furious about, and I will lose my mind. And I say, I just want to go home. But then I get home. I look around, I'm like, every time I get home after work, I'm like Wile E. Coyote who finally caught the Roadrunner. Now what? Like, it's just like, now what do I do? It's like I was in such a hurry. I was so furious, had to get here just to get home to go, what am I going to do? I am impatient in the car. And then when I said it out loud, how am I always behind the idiot? I realized, no, you're not behind the idiot. You're being an idiot over the fact that you were angry about something as insignificant as they're doing 50, not 55. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. And it also flies in the face of something I always say about myself, which is over the years, after having been in plenty of therapy, I try not to get angry about what I knew was going to happen. And yet, when it comes with Jennifer or driving in the car, I routinely get angry over the same things over and over. Like, sometimes I know what she's going to say, I know what she's going to do, and yet I still get mad about it. And if I'm in the car, I know people are going to annoy me, and yet I still find myself that angry about it. Patience is one of those things that I have gotten so much better at since I have started Rock 106.9 10 years ago. What I've realized is it's one of those things I'm never going to be as good at as maybe some of you are.
He's a bad influence. But nobody is stupid enough to take him seriously. The Stansbury Show, Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. will rock the bank, get you $1,000. Those keywords are presented by Beavers Marine. And you can text the studio too, 330-450-762 phone. I feel as if I should, or I feel like I want to, pass out a little bit of a disclaimer here. I would not have necessarily crammed this into my rundown. It's a big story. A lot of people are talking about it, and that's usually the benchmark of like, all right, that's probably topic A, everybody's talking about it. But I probably wouldn't have decided to go into this rabbit hole. But I was asked about it so many times, it's like, okay, I should be doing this. Doing Vladimir Putin. There was some speculation it was going to happen. It has now been both confirmed by Tucker and the Kremlin. And everyone seems to be losing their minds about it. I have seen personally ABC and NBC News, both, like, beside themselves over the fact that it's going to happen. And yet if I go to YouTube, here's a video of NBC interviewing Vladimir Putin. Here's a video of ABC's journalist interviewing Vladimir Putin. Hey, look, here's all the politicians that tell me how much they hate him and how terrible it is that Tucker Carlson's going to sit down and talk to him. Here they all are, sitting down talking with him. I fail to see where this is a big problem. Now, I know what I'm going to be told, the disinformation and all of this. If you were willing to sit down and interview this man once upon a time, and you were, the video lives forever, we can see it, why is it such a problem somebody's going to be doing it right now? Well, do you not know what's going on with Vladimir? Do you not know what has been going on the entire time the guy's been running that country? Let's not act like this is the first time he's been accused of being a warmonger. It isn't. Not even close. So maybe there's something I'm missing. And there easily could be with this. But I don't see it. What, it's going to rally up a bunch of people who are going to think Vladimir's telling the truth? Anybody who thinks he's telling the truth already thinks it. Do people's minds really get changed anymore? Everybody talks about misinformation being such a problem, but it's all I ever hear about is how you can't change anybody's mind. Then misinformation really matters? I also think it is a journalist's job to ask questions. You don't want to invite certain foreign leaders to sit in the White House to talk about things? Okay. You don't want to legitimize them on that level? Okay. But all I ever hear about is how Tucker Carlson, clinging to relevancy. Well, if he's not relevant, then what does it matter if he talks to this guy for? It's a problem because you know he's relevant. That's why they're upset about it. This, to me, feels very much like media jealousy. Oh, no. He's going to get the eyeballs we should be getting. And he is. It feels a little like, oh, no. We're getting passed by here. Now, Tucker Carlson has come out and said, in defense of himself, that no Western journalists have tried to interview Vladimir Putin. Now, the problem with that is a spokesperson for the Kremlin has come out and said that that's not true, that plenty of people have inquired. And they have said there's no way Tucker Carlson could know that. Now, again, that would require us to believe the Kremlin. What I would say is, well, don't I know they didn't try? Because of how angry they are that somebody is actually doing it? Nobody's saying they're pissed at Tucker because he's the one that gets to do it. They're all saying he should not be doing it. So if he shouldn't be doing it, doesn't that tell me that they weren't trying all that hard to get the interview? Kind of does, right? Now, I guess you could make the argument, and maybe I should, that no, they're upset because they don't think he's going to push back on what Vladimir says, and he's just going to let him say whatever he wants. And I have heard Hillary Clinton say that. Again, a woman who's had her arms around this man plenty of times. And Tucker Carlson back in the day. When he worked at that network, they were buddies. Yeah, when he was over there, they were friends. That's what I am to hear it. I'm not saying I'm going to walk away agreeing with what he says. I'm not saying I'm going to agree with what he thinks on why he had to do what he's doing with the Ukraine. I probably won't agree with it. But the more you tell me how badly I don't need to hear it, I'm sorry. You've done this to yourselves, media. You have. You have eroded the trust people have in you by selling a narrative. I don't believe they necessarily flat out lie all the time, but they leave out the counterpoint. Which, again, you normally hear in here because I'm working as a one person and I kind of try to present both sides of the argument to make it a comfortable listen, which is why a lot of people think I flip-flop. It's like, no, I'm just highlighting that. Just because I'm saying something doesn't mean I agree with it. I'm just pointing it out, right? Let's not get sidetracked on me. You got bigger issues than that. But I don't understand the anger here. I really don't get it. And I'm not afraid of anything that may happen over an interview. I'm not afraid of having conversations. As a communicator by trade, it would be obscene, essentially, for me to be anti that. I don't know why they're allowed to do that. This feels like jealousy. It does. By the way, I think I can prove it right here. Interest in the Carlson-Putin interview has now pushed X, formerly known as Twitter, to the #1 app in stores by midnight last night. That's why they don't. And that's why they're going to tell you, oh, he's going over there to the other alt-right edgelord Elon. And again, they loved Elon when he donated all that money to them. They loved Elon when he showed up at all of their, balls dressed right, donating the right money, having the right bed. They loved him. But the moment he started to say, man, I got to be honest with you, dude, I don't know if I like the way they're running the politics right now, everybody turned on him. Now he's the worst thing in the world. Public enemy #1. Again, that makes me suspicious of you. Not you, them. Sorry. It makes me suspicious of them. I don't understand why it's a problem to ask questions. Inquiring is the only way you're ever going to learn anything. Now, do I need to take everything Vladimir says and kind of put it through the filter of, well, dude, he kind of wants this to be a little bit decent PR? Sure. Sure. But the argument isn't nobody should be, like, they're literally freaking out about the fact that this is going to go well and it's going to do gangbusters for X, which could be another thing that kind of pushes people to the TV. Really? I got the TV in my hand now, baby. You better get it on that social media, or now you're the irrelevant one. Or now you're that person. The internet's gone full circle. If you had to be taken off traditional venues and go to the internet, it was like, dude, look what happened to that guy. And now all of a sudden it's like, look what happened to that guy. This interview is going to break numbers, and it looks like media jealousy, and they're just petulantly sitting around crying about the fact that they're not the ones that get to do it. It's almost hilarious.
You thought Stansbury was a mess on air? Check out the show's Facebook page at Stansbury Show. Rock 1069.
Starting Monday, I'll get those Creed tickets passed out. The show's got Three Doors Down, Mammoth WVH on it. I want to see Wolfie Van Halen. I need to see that. So we'll get those tickets passed out to you, though, next week. All right. I have said many times that most problems are not new. That a lot of things are cyclical and they just kind of come back into style and then we complain about them again. And I have evidence of this right here. Because I remember my parents sitting on the couch, and I won't claim to remember which one it was, 60 Minutes, 2020, whatever, but one of those types of shows. And my father, like me, could not hide anger over, like, the ridiculous things he saw on the news, right? He was just constantly yelling at the TV. I kind of picked that up from my dad. Oh, Sue, look at this ridiculous country, right? That kind of stuff. And I remember, I don't know if it was the birth of it, because I don't know when it was invented. I should maybe look that up. But I remember there was, like, some expose on, like, those news shows about how the G-string was taking over beaches. And I think it was South Beach is where they were, And my parents were like, oh my God, look at these women with their ass out. And everybody was clutching the pearls, talking about how bad everything was going to be and how it was a slippery slope. And before long, we were going to have public indecency everywhere. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. God, turns out them heretics were a little bit right. But I remember that conversation. And I remember sitting there watching that with my parents and thinking to myself, oh, now you didn't call them boomers then, but like, oh, yeah, get off my lawners, right? It's like, what's the big deal? And I was young and I was coming into my own and I wanted to look at ass cheeks. So I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. But now this argument is back. Because apparently in Australia, they're looking for a local businessman is calling for a ban on G-string bikinis. So now there's a demonstration urging everybody to free the peach, which is what we call a big ass. And that's been planned along their Gold Coast there. They're looking to celebrate being inclusive. And isn't that just the hot button word right now, baby? Because if you throw that one into why you're doing something, all of a sudden, if I oppose it, I'm the worst person alive. What are you, not inclusive? So as soon as you throw that word out there, and that is one of them words, that word has been weaponized. And we do this all of the time because what you're doing is you're setting up the argument to where anybody who opposes you, they look unrealistic and crazy. Nice job. Well done. But some of us recognize it. You are not a protected class of people, G-string wearers. Like, come on. It's not about being inclusive. It's about you doing what you want. And some people like the fact that they're making other people uncomfortable with their ass hanging out. Do I look at a G-string and think to myself, oh, God, that's terrible? No. I like looking at beautiful women. I've said it many, many times. I like looking at them. I have occasionally even maybe objectified one or two. I have. But is it really crazy for somebody other than me to be sitting on a beach thinking to themselves, God, I wish I didn't have to stare at your ass right now? Now, we could get into the conversation of bikini bottom, how much of your ass is really being hid there versus a G-string. Okay, all right. Also, if we're talking personal preference here, and you didn't ask me, but I'll tell you anyway, I like a little bit more leave it to the imagination. I've said this about nude strip clubs. I don't want to go into a nude strip club. Leave it wrapped up. I'm trying to take it to go. Like, that's what I'm trying to do here. That's why I'm in here, right? And so I like a little bit more leave it to the imagination. But that's not everybody, right? So now, again, they're going to do like this inclusive event now. Quote, no man should have any right to dictate what women should wear or should not wear. He is not talking to a culture or society today that respects that way of thinking, she said. No, I think he knows that. And what he is saying is we need to get back to respecting this way of thinking. By the way, no man should have any right to dictate what a woman wears. What is a woman? A year ago, we were having the debate and nobody could come up with the answer, remember? So I'll ask you, what is a woman? When you can give me that answer, then you can turn around and tell me I don't get to dictate stuff. See? See how easy it is? Very easy. It's very, very easy. How many men are transitioning into women? Do I get to tell a man what they're not allowed to wear? Because watch here, we do this to men in another area. Some of you are a little like, oh no, where are we going? What's he mean? We don't do this to men. We only do this to women. Really? All right. If you're cool with the G-string, and we're okay with seeing women's asses everywhere we go in this, and stop telling that kid in front of you to pull up his pants when he's sagging them jeans. Nobody wants to see your ass when we're sitting in line to get gas. We tell men to pull up their pants and cover their ass all the time. So men and women are equal, right? You want the same treatment, right? Pull up them britches. Right? I mean, come on. If you're looking for the consistency, that would be the consistency. Oh, Stansberry, there is a difference between the beach and the grocery store. Why? There is? My kid is in the grocery store. As a matter of fact, as a Cantonite, Cantonian, what are we? Cantonite? Cantonian. I don't know. Anyway. My kid's way more likely to be in a grocery store than they are a beach. Well, beach is about leisure. Okay? I don't really see the difference. Football games are about leisure. Baseball games are about leisure. Next time you see them sagging pants, man, you see that underwear hanging out, shut your goddamn mouth. Right? This is one of those things we do view differently for men and women. There are double standards in life. Some of them benefit men, some of them benefit women. And being able to show your ass out in public is one of those things that kind of benefits women. Now, we do that because men want to see it, and I will admit that, so it still circles back to the man. But look at this. No problem is new. Like I said, my parents were talking about this, looking at the 2020 or 60 Minutes, whatever the hell it was back in the day. Because South Beach was going to allow this. By the way, this is not America. It's Australia. Because a lot of people say, oh, in this country, and repressed, and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, like 3 different beach, water-based places in Italy have all banned the bikini. Or the G-string bikini, sorry, not just a bikini. They all banned it. Italy. A much more sexual culture than us. A much more advanced culture when you start talking about being progressive in these types of viewpoints. Banned it. They're done. Can I ask this question? Of course I can. It's called the Stansbury Show for a goddamn reason. I'm allowed to ask anything I want. So here it comes. If you're able to show every last thing on the internet, isn't it maybe okay now to say, you know what, we have a place for this. We have a place for you to show off all your sexual activity. It's OnlyFans. It's the internet. That's the Wild Wild West, baby. You can do anything you want there. As a matter of fact, you could turn yourself into a millionaire there. So because we're going to allow that and everything that comes with it, we're going to ask that when you leave your house, you cover up your ass cheeks just a little bit.
Like a wake and bake with an easy bake oven. The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansbury Show. Grab your $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword at 9 a.m.